Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Let's Talk Ghosts. And I am so sorry it's been a few weeks since our last episode. Honestly, I thought I was better, but I seem to have had a relapse, and I've been very sick for the last couple of weeks. So sick that, talking at all would send me into coughing fits really bad, which has really been nice for Bruce because I can't speak. I'm on the mend, and I still have a fair amount of cough if I talk too much, but the world cannot stop because I am sick. So I would like to try to, anyway, I'd like to try to get something interesting out
there.
Now, while I was incapacitated, again, as I said the last time, I've watched a lot of YouTube and Pluto and Tubi and lots of just stuff. In fact, if you can believe it or not, Pluto on their Pluto Paranormal channel, they have a whole bunch of stuff called Most Haunted Unseen. Basically, this is stuff that didn't make the network. It's their own stuff that they put out for their YouTube channel, I guess, or whatever. And I've actually watched some of it so that I could giggle and laugh and cough. But there's a whole bunch of them, and it's like, oh my God. You think the stuff for network was dumb. Yeah. Anyway, it was entertaining. So yeah, I have watched some of that. But one of the things that actually, I think you found it first, was a fellow who, he's not really a debunker, but he debunks stuff. He calls out BS when he sees it. And for a while, he was doing some paranormal stuff. And this one particular episode caught Bruce's attention, and then, of course, mine. And it was, is this documentary real or fake? This particular documentary was the Blackwell Ghost.
Yeah.
And I know we loved the Blackwell Ghost.
Yes.
But when we watched it because it was spooky and scary, and we loved it.
Yeah.
And I still do.
It didn't seem like bullshit.
No, it really didn't. And that being said, I still love it, even though what we're going to talk about will prove that it's fake. So it's really sad because I loved it so much. But again, I will still watch it because it is very well done. The tension buildup is so well done. It's obvious this guy is a filmmaker and knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But John opens up talking about the video clip of the hotel guard, and then he touches on that briefly, and then moves on to showing the video that caught his eye, which is the one of in Greg's house, the one of the light going on and then the shadow. But he catches something that nobody really paid attention to. Turner is watching this video in his video editing program, which he thought was odd, but to me that doesn't really strike me as odd, because there's lots of times that people will have programs that will automatically open their video files or whatever, just whatever they have, because that's just the way some of these programs work. They'll automatically open everything of a MP4 or whatever. So that didn't strike me as odd. What did strike me, as he pointed out, is the file that he's looking at says, or is called, and you see the name of the file up in the corner, Greg Ghost Video Finished. Why would a clip from a guy who's sending you why would he call it Greg's Ghost Video Finished? No. Yeah. There you go. So this was, it was all created, finished editing and everything, finished. Popped it in there. And I guess we weren't supposed to notice that. And we didn't. We didn't notice
No.
it. So,
No.
so, so there was the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that he shows, and I'm not sure quite where he shows it, because my notes are kind of all over the place here, but he also shows in this clip, you see there's a curtain across the window in this clip, and there's a little storage box beside the curtain, beside the window. But when we go to his house, when he goes to meet Greg at the house the first time, there is no curtain there. There is no storage box there. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. It could have been, from a while back and stuff's been moved around. But later, when they arrive for filming and they're filming stuff, you later see the same curtain across the window and the storage box. So, oops.
Whoops.
Just a little bit of, yeah, that's an oops that they didn't catch, or they were hoping people wouldn't catch. So it was set up. That was all filmed the same time that they were there filming that.
Right.
Yeah. He shows the well again, shows the whole clip of the well, and those several clips of the well.
Yeah.
And that one at the end with the ball?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we know that Greg shows him the well, and that the pliers are there. They're wedged in so that you can get the well cover up if you need to.
Right.
But when we see Turner drop the well cover back in after farting around with it, the pliers are not there. He doesn't have the pliers.
Right.
The pliers miraculously return, though, with the ball on top of at the very end.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting, another inconsistency. But he later tries to explain away in another video of, I just wasn't showing it when I fixed it because, it was really heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know. He taped everything else. Why not that? Just seems very strange. Have I missed anything so far?
No, you're
Okay.
doing really well.
And then he talks about, when they're in bed and all the smoke and everything, they go down and they find the oven on and all the smoke everywhere.
Yeah.
He says the fire alarm, if you listen, the sound, the volume doesn't change.
Yeah.
As he's going down the stairs into the kitchen, he's standing, above the fire alarm, and the volume does not change no matter where he is in the house.
Yeah.
And you'd think it would.
Yeah.
His guess is it was an overlaid MP3 kind of put into the video.
Yeah.
So he thinks it is a consistent volume all the way through. And he's right about that. That is, that's a minor point that nobody would pick up on, and, but it's a good point. It's a good point. So that's the basic stuff that he pointed out from that particular video. Then he goes on to talk about Greg, the so-called owner of the house. Unfortunately, Greg does not own that house. Greg is an actor, and he looked him up and showed his picture from the IMDb database. His name is Sonny Burnett.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an actor. He's not the owner of the house. The house is not in Pennsylvania. The house is in Lexington, Kentucky, which is where Turner Clay is from. So he didn't fly up to Pennsylvania. He just probably did a nice loop-de-loo to make it look like it on his plane, and went back to the house that he owns. He owns that house.
Well, his parents probably do.
He's listed as the owner. He showed it.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's the owner of that house. So that was all very interesting. Then John goes on to talk about episodes 2 and 3 and so on. And we didn't watch them because we weren't going to pay to rent them and stuff to watch them because, we're cheap. But in number 2, there was more of the same kind of stuff. And it opens up, the video starts talking about, he's addressing his critics and how come this happened and that happened, et cetera, et cetera. He gets a package from an old woman who claims to know Ruth Blackwell, and there's just a bunch of stuff there. And of course, Ruth, her presence is known again. She gets much more dramatic this time. She's pushing stuff around, and oh my God, she's very strong now. She doesn't care about, just the fire and dripping taps and stuff. And now she's moving furniture and pulling curtains and, oh my God, opening doors and slamming doors. Like, honestly, the first time was much more believable because it's more what you would expect to see.
Yeah.
Trying to get over dramatic, not so much.
Yeah.
So Blackwell Ghost 1 and 2 are supposedly about Ruth Blackwell, who apparently doesn't really exist either. There is no record of a Ruth Blackwell anywhere. So that's kind of funny. That story, it was, again, he's a filmmaker and he's very good at what he does. I suspect, like, the second one wasn't as good, he said, probably because he's starting to feel pressure to get another one out. He wants to make money. First one probably did fairly well.
Yeah.
Second one, but then 3, 4, 5, how many are there? 7 of them? 3 in all,
I think
anyway.
so.
None of the rest of them after the second one are about the Blackwell ghost. I think he kept the name because it got attention.
Because they paid for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They made out. They did well with the first one. Everybody knows the Blackwell ghost, but it wasn't about the Blackwell ghost anymore. The second one was about a supposed serial killer named Lightfoot, the Lightfoot serial killer case, which again didn't appear to happen. So each episode was a different serial killer, supposedly. And they go in the episode 3 to the house in Florida where it was supposedly owned by the serial killer, which, surprise, surprise, is actually owned by Turner Clay. So, it's quite interesting. Quite interesting. Yeah. I mean, I still really like the first one, and I would watch it again just because it was so well done. And the way he was able to ramp up the suspense to that crescendo, and then kaboom, you see the ball on the well cover, and he's screaming, running up the stairs, and that was so well done. So well done.
Yeah.
So I still enjoy it, but it was fake. It was fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody taken in by Turner.
And he did a good job being scared.
Yes. But, and his wife was, not so convincing, though.
No. She spends a lot of time sitting on the sofa staring into nothing.
Yeah.
And that's true. Yeah. It's true. Like, she's not as believable. The first time when we saw it, I just felt like she didn't want to be involved with his documentary, and she's just kind of being dragged into it. That's the impression that I'd gotten. So it worked.
Yeah.
But I think really what it boils down to is she's not a good actress. I think it boils down to she's just not a good actress. So.
Right.
Yeah. Probably more his.
But, good movie, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was really disappointed to find out it was all fake.
Yeah. Yeah. And he really has doubled down saying, no, it's real. It's real. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. I mean, you can just admit that it's a mockumentary Just
Yeah.
like he talks about the Blair Witch and the
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity series. They don't say they're
Yeah.
real, and they're
Yeah.
still just as effective. And this one, I think, you could say, or even, you could say, is it real or is it fake? I mean, you could do that
Yeah.
too. But I was very disappointed yet. But he still is doubling down, saying it's real. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Who knows? But yeah.
But you got to take it for John
Mhm.
for pointing out and doing the research that,
Yeah.
should have been done. Yeah.
He did some really good research. I mean, he's looking at
Yeah.
Google Maps and Google Satellite and whatever, trying to find the house. And even the
Yeah.
article that he found in the paper is not real.
Right.
There's a reference in the article to a detective or a sheriff. Was it Jim Hopper? That's the
Yeah.
name
I
of one of the
think so.
detectives in Stranger Things. And he said
Yeah.
that's one of the first things that got his attention. Like, oh, so even the article wasn't real. It was all
Yeah.
faked. It was beautifully well done. I think it was
Yeah.
very well done. In the second
Yeah.
one, in the second one, um, he says that a lot of the issues that were found in the first one, he didn't repeat. There's a lot of stuff that he
Yeah.
didn't document, which was strange to him because he said he documented everything in the first one, all the phone calls, all of this,
Yeah.
all of that. And so much
Yeah.
happens off camera in the second one. When he's
Yeah.
showing some of the videos, he's careful not to show the name of the file because he
Yeah.
got called on that.
Yeah.
Like, smart, but I don't know. There's a thing in the second one where they dig up a like a
A
lockbox, I guess,
box.
and
Yeah.
inside it there's a bunch of dirt and human teeth. He
Yeah.
finds it. He goes, "Oh, this is the weirdest thing I've ever found," and then never ever looks at or talks about it again. Like, why
Yeah.
bother? That was weird. Why would you not bring it up again or anything? It's just, okay, I found some teeth, yay, and let's move on. Oh, it just, some of
Yeah.
that was kind of strange. So I'm not sad that we didn't see the second one.
No.
So,
No.
so yeah,
Because
it
I
was,
would have been disappointed.
I would have been very
Yeah.
disappointed too. Yeah. Especially seeing Ruth suddenly becoming so active, pushing the sofa across the room and everything.
Yeah.
Really?
I would have. Yeah.
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 I mean, that's kind of stuff would have had me going, no, no.
No.
What she did with all the cupboards and doors and the turning the taps and all that stuff, I
Yeah.
thought that
It's
was
real.
brilliant
Very real.
because they basically said, I don't believe this house is haunted. And that's when all hell kind of broke loose. And that would make
Yeah.
sense. I'll show
Yeah.
you I'm not real. You know,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
made, to me, that made all the sense. And in just the build up to the very end in the basement was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah. Me
But,
too.
but it's not real.
Yeah.
Sad to
It's not.
say, we got sucked in
Yeah.
by the suspense and everything. We weren't looking to debunk. Well, we're not debunkers.
Well, yeah, I wasn't,
We were looking at it for entertainment and for, yeah,
yeah,
basically for the entertainment. And I stand by. I loved it and I still do, but now I know that it's not real. It's just a
yeah,
television program. It's a movie. And that's
yeah,
okay. That's okay.
yeah,
They also
yeah,
believe that at the end, that video that, of the hotel, remember we talked about this,
right,
that is actually Turner Clay playing the security guard.
yeah,
And they found it by, I guess, the video that was uploaded to YouTube. I forget the name of the
hmm,
character, the guy, the channel named Jimmy something or other.
yeah,
And this is funny. If you find the clip and you go to the information, it says you can license a copy of this to show on your channel or whatever from blackwellghost.com. Uh-huh. And who owns that? Well, obviously that channel is owned by Turner Clay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. And of course, on that channel also has the trailers for all the Blackwell ghosts.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's disappointing to know that it wasn't real, but what do you do?
Yeah.
It was still
Yeah.
good. Still love it. I still tell people, I still recommend it highly to go watch it. It's really entertaining,
Yeah.
but it's not real. So that's all I have to say for today.
Yeah.
Did you
Lick
want to
my
add anything to it?
wound. Well, it just goes to show that you can't trust anything.
No.
You really can't.
No.
You really can't.
And what John was saying is it's going to get harder and harder to tell the real versus the fake as AI continues to improve.
Yes.
And that's true. It's already hard to tell a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So what's real? What isn't? Well, we can tell you this is not real. that much we know. So,
But at least he didn't, out of respect,
mm-hmm.
made it a real
Yeah,
killing
he didn't use
and
real dead people,
real people.
real
Yeah.
victim, like that
Yeah.
21 days in or whatever, 28 days haunted. That's
Yeah.
it. Like they
Yeah.
did, and that was one of the things that John
Yeah.
pointed out as well. That at least he had, respect and just created
Yeah.
everything, faked everything, and didn't just make
Yeah.
up. Bruce
Yeah.
Blackwell was not a
And
real
I thought
person,
that
but
was very
yeah.
admirable of him.
Well, yeah, being a filmmaker, he would be aware of being sued. So he'd know that. He'd
Yeah.
know that that wouldn't be wise to do without all kinds of releases. And then if you
Legally.
sign
Yeah.
a release from somebody, they're going to, at some point in time, they're going to slip up and say, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we were used in a documentary, a mockumentary.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
Yeah. Anyways, folks.
that was
Hmm? What?
that was all I had to add.
Yeah. Anyways, folks, that's it for today. Look, I got through without relatively too much coughing. In fact, I don't think, yeah, I shouldn't have said it. And hopefully we'll have something for you next week as well.
Yes.
So take care. Have a great day, evening, night, wherever you are in this great wide world.
Happy hunting.
Happy haunting. Bye now.